Hello, I'm Voiding, and as you can see, I have a bunch of stuff prepared for the second episode of the Slimestone Basics series. Well, I'm referring to it as Slimestone. Most tech players like me refer to it as Slimestone, but and you can call it that too if you want. But a more accurate description is flying machines. Because not just flying machines use slime, because there's a bunch of mob farms that use slime, down excel, side excel stuff. TNT compressors use slime, but there's a lot of stuff that uses slime. But I'm talking about flying machines. When I say Slimestone, I'm referring to flying machines. And I titled the videos "Flying Machines" because it just makes more sense, and also because honey exists, and it behaves similar to slime, except it slides past it, and it's also it's also non-solid. So with it slides past slime instead of sticking to it, and it also sticks to blocks, but it's not solid, so this observer can't power the piston through it. So that doesn't mean you can't make flying machines with honey. You just can't do it like this. You have to quasi-power it, or directly power, or actually that wouldn't work. Yeah, you just have to quasi-power it and stuff. So you can do it like this. You can directly power it like this. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. That's not what I wanted to do. If I update this, now that's a honey flying machine. But you could also just do it like this, and that's how every sane person would do it. So, but no one likes honey, because honey is just terrible. So we're not gonna be bothering to that today. I just wanted to explain what honey is like, in case anyone wanted to know. In case why you see honey and stuff in some flying machines, it's because it's also a sticky block. So those are the properties of honey. Anyways, what I went over in the last episode was I went over basic engines and instant extensions, and also regular extensions. What I want to do today is, I have a lot of things on my plate today. First, I want to go over some more designs for the basic engines. Then, some more advanced designs, and I'm sure these could be made more compact, but these are self-returning engines. I'll get to them later. And then a few other stuff. There's a few other things, very useful things that can be used in flying machines, that I want to go over. And then the rest of the video will just be dedicated to me building as many instant extension designs as I can. So stay tuned for that. And that's just me. That's just going to be me demonstrating how versatile Slimestone is. So anyways, the basic two-way 10-game tick engine. I showed you it in the last video. It's very easy to remember. And basically, there are more variations of this. For example, what you can do is create the same machine that flies vertically. Now, the thing is, the catch with this is that this observer needs to be either directly powering this sticky piston at the top, or quasi-powering it. Otherwise, this flying machine, this engine will break. As you can see, these slimes just come together, and then the sticky piston starts shaking. So instead, what you have to do is you have to either quasi-power this or directly power it. Quasi-power it requires less blocks, and this way, it'll actually work. And if I place obsidian here, stop it, and it send it in the other direction. So it's two-directional. Another thing is that you can make 10 game tick engines a different way. You can make them like this as well, and that goes the same for vertical engines. You can also make them like this, and you can actually power them like this. You can actually hard power the slime next to it this time because it doesn't break if you do that. So if I send this up, it works, and if I send it back down, it works. Alright, so now I'm going to go over these things. What are these things? Well, these are self-returning engines, and you'll notice that all of them have a familiar circuit. This is a 10 game tick engine, 2 sticky pistons and 2 observers, and they're both attached to slimes, to slime segments, respectively. So, what this does is that when it flies forward, and it reaches the push limit, the flying machine will stop, and it will start flying in the opposite direction that it was flying in earlier. And I'm going to explain how it does that. So, for now, I'm just going to place some obsidian there, and I'm going to show how this works. So what happens is that when I power this observer, this sticky piston and this regular piston will push at the same time because they're attached to the same block that the observer is powering. And all of this will push because it's all one segment. So this includes a sticky piston, this observer, this iron block, this observer, and this sticky piston, as well as these 2 slime blocks. But you'll notice that this observer is not actually attached to the segment. It's not attached. If it was, there would be a slime here, or this would be a slime, but this is an iron block, so this isn't actually attached. So when this moves, this observer will actually stay where it is, so that the next cycle, this piston will be pushing it forward. So as you can see what I mean. But once it reaches the push limit, this sticky piston can no longer push the segment. However, this piston can push this observer, and when it pushes the observer over to power it, it will quasi-power this sticky piston, and the flying machine will reverse directions. So if we can see that one more time, as you can see right there, and we can just launch this as many times as we want. And this kind of stuff is really useful for quarry tech. And now, if you don't know what a quarry is basically a flying machine that takes blocks out from an area, and it blows them up with TNT or withers. If I'm unaware of a wither-based quarry that exists, though. So usually TNT. And it collects the items of those blocks. So, this kind of thing is useful for quarry tech because it can act as a block grabber. Basically, you can grab a bunch of blocks from this, and then you can take them off the block grabber, and then blow them up and collect the items. So this kind of stuff is useful for quarry tech because it's a way of grabbing blocks from the area that you're quarrying, and then bringing it back to where you want them to be. This is another variant. This version works when flying downwards, and again, you'll notice that this is also the same engine as over all of these. Same 10 game tick engine. And as I discussed before, if you have like a piston here, you can't power the slime block directly next to it because then it will power this sticky piston. So because I have it arranged like this, I have to have 2 observers powering these. This sticky piston, is let's just put that right there. It doesn't change anything though. These 2 observers are powering both these sticky pistons, and basically this works in the same exact way as this one. If I just start this, it'll fly down and it'll reverse directions, and it does that the same exact way. This sticky piston. Right. Sorry, I had to remove these blocks first, and then this sticky piston right here will pull this observer, or it will push this observer next to this iron block, which will power the iron block, and it will power the sticky piston next to it. So as you can see here. As you can see, that's exactly what happens. And you can also do this vertically. So here's another one of these, but it goes up instead of down. And as you can see, same thing happens. This piston pushed this observer, and it quasi-powered this piston in reverse directions. So those are self-returning engines. Pretty cool. They're pretty useful for quarry tech. Anyways, I'm gonna move on to the next thing, which are bud wires. What are bud wires? Well, they're kind of similar to instant extensions in that it moves segments, a bunch of segments, at the same exact time. So if I update this piston, it moves all this, and I'm going to explain how it works. Similar to instant extensions, what's happening here is all of these pistons get updated at the same exact time. They all move at the same time, and because these blocks right next to them are moving, and as soon as they start moving, like in instant extensions, this piston updates. So all of this will update at the exact same time. And all of these sticky pistons are being quasi-powered by these redstone blocks. And, you know, I explained quasi-connectivity in the last episode, so you already know what's going on here. Now, one interesting thing that should be noted is when you have something like this, when I update the sticky piston, why is the TPS so low? Not too sure about that. That was strange. Server just had a stroke there. Anyways, when I update this sticky piston just starts to shake, which is kind of weird. But if I place a block right here, like one block of space between the block and the head of the sticky piston, now it stops shaking. So when I update it, it extends and retracts. So that's why we have these blocks here. So when I do this, it updates, and so yeah. So this is a horizontal version. This is a vertical version. Now, if you notice, it works the same way. This redstone block is quasi-powering the sticky piston, and this redstone block also acts as this block because it's one block away from this the face of the sticky piston. So when you update this, it'll work the same way. This quartz block immediately starts moving and updates the sticky piston at the exact same time. So that's how that works. And this is a downwards version, as you can see. I probably should have realized I would have done that. I should probably fix that, because that was for a demonstration. And I'm gonna lock these in with obsidian so they don't move for the time being. And this is a downwards version of the bud wire, and it works the same way. This redstone block is right next to it, so it's not being quasi-powered, but it's still in a state where it's being powered, but it's not extended, which is all you need for a budded piston. And you know, as long as you know, if you have a redstone block here, obviously it's going to extend, but if you place obsidian next to it, or so it can extend, and then place a redstone block, and then remove the obsidian, now it's a budded piston, but it won't retract, or it won't retract permanently, so, like, you know, it'll start shaking like that. But if I do this, now it is a budded piston, so it doesn't necessarily have to be quasi-connectivity, it can be right next to the piston. It just needs to be budded like this. As long as a piston is being powered by a redstone block and it is not extended, it is a budded piston. So same thing's going on here. Redstone block is powering the piston, but it's not extended, and this quartz block is next to the piston, so it'll immediately start moving and it'll update the entire line at once. Now, here's why this is actually useful. This is used in a bunch of different flying machines, and it's useful because it can be used to update a large amount of things at the same exact time. So, for example, if I wanted to send off all of these flying machines at the exact same time, if you know, someone asked me like, hey, I have a bunch of these flying machines in a row and they're all the same, and I wanted to send them all off at the same time, how would I do that? Well, I would answer, well, use a bud wire. And, you know, you can just send them off like this. So they, as you saw, they all started moving at the same time. Now, you might be asking, well, what if I want to move a bud wire? What if I want to move it forward? Well, you can do that. They are movable. Otherwise, they wouldn't really be used in flying machines if they can't fly. So let me just set up a little thing here. I'm going to set up an instant extension. So instant extensions are usually used to push stuff forward, as I mentioned. But this is like one of the uses of them. If you want to push a bunch of stuff forward at the same time, that's what you would. I'm an idiot. Don't mind that. Don't mind that. Just forget it happened. Just forget it happened. If I have like this like here, and then I have the this sticky piston. There we go, and then I have this right there. And I also forgot to place the observers as well, so that's double embarrassing. I'm sorry. But if I have stuff like this, I can move the bud wire, and what's going to happen is when I remove this redstone block, all these sticky pistons are going to retract, all of them instantly, because it's an instant extension. I already explained this, and these pistons are going to be powered by the observers, so not only is it going to be powering, it's going to push this sticky piston back, but it's also going to push this observer into a place where it's being quasi-powered by this redstone block, which it also happens to be the same redstone block that's quasi-powering these. There's a slime block there. It's quasi-powering these pistons, which is causing them to be budded. It's a bud wire. Shocking, I know. And so that's one thing that you want to do in Slimestone is reuse blocks. So not only is redstone blocks being used to bud these pistons for the bud wire, but it's also being used to quasi-power this piston. When it's moving to this position, it will update and push the entire bud wire forward. So, voila. And you know, you can do this as many times as you need. So you can just push the bud wire forward, and you know, you can do something similar with this one. You can just like move the piston into place here, just pretend that I did that at the same time, and here you could just move the piston into position there, and it fucked up that bud wire, but you know, I don't care because I'm done explaining bud wires now. Now what I'm going to go over is movable water. Now, you know, there are a couple ways to do this, and it's kind of a tricky thing because, you know, normally, you know, if you weren't aware that you could move water, you would normally think, well, you can't move water, because if you try to like push it with a piston, it just removes the water source. So how the heck do I move water sources? Well, there's a couple ways to do that. So here are two simple ways. One of them, if you want to pull water, this is how you're gonna do it. You're gonna use an armor stand with these boots that are enchanted with Frostwalker. Now, I'm using Frostwalker 1 in this example. And that's enough to reach this water. So, also, side note, you may be asking, how did I get the armor stand inside the slime block? That sounds impossible. Well, you can do it using zero ticking. Now, what's zero ticking? Well, it's when you power a piston on and off in the same game tick, and if you do this with sticky pistons, the sticky piston will extend immediately, and so it'll extend just all at once. So this block will be shifted into place immediately, and that's important because if you don't shift the block into place immediately, and you have like a piston that's like powered by an observer, well, the armor stand is just going to be launched forward. So you have to move the block forward immediately. So a very easy way to do that is by placing a button on the side of a sticky piston and pressing it, and that will zero tick. As you saw, it moved instantly, and that's why the armor stand didn't get launched. So now the armor stand's gonna get dragged along with this flying machine. As you can see, there's some water and a light source. And what's gonna happen is I'm gonna pull this back, and what's going to happen is this armor stand with Frostwalker boots is going to move backwards, obviously, and the game will count that as the armor stand walking back. And when you walk with Frostwalker boots, it will freeze any nearby ice one block below you. So by shifting this back, it'll freeze this water source. It'll turn it into frosted ice, and then this sticky piston will be powered by this observer, and I can save a block here by doing that. There we go. And it will pull back the frosted ice, and then this sea lantern will melt the frosted ice, and it'll turn back into water. As you can see there, it happens a little fast, so I'm gonna do it one more time just so you can see. So you can see it turned into frosted ice. The sticky piston pulled back the frosted ice, and it melted. So that's one way you can move water, by pulling. Another way, which if you're watching this in the future, Mojang may have patched by now. Currently, it works in the current version of the game at the time of making this 1.16.4, and I think 1.16.5 as well. But you know, if it doesn't work for you, and you're like in a you know, you're in a later version, then chances are Mojang patched it, and that's because Mojang has tried to patch this before, but they weren't successful, and this still exists, and you can push this under very specific circumstances. If you push a waterlogged block, which is a block with water inside of it, if you push a waterlogged block with a sticky piston pulsed at 2 game ticks, and only those circumstances, you can move a waterlogged block, and it will push the water along. And yeah, Mojang, this is definitely not an intended feature. So Mojang could patch this in the future, so if it doesn't work for you, that's probably why. But if you're watching this like at the time of me uploading, then it will probably work for you. I haven't heard of Mojang patching this in the 1.17 snapshots. No one's told me about that yet, so I don't know. So as it currently stands, this works, but it may not work for you in the future. But this one won't be patched, I'm pretty sure, because this works using intended mechanics. The armor stand with Frostwalker boots, this works as intended. So this doesn't use any bugs. So, you know, if you count zero ticking as a bug, and if Mojang for some reason patches zero ticking, which I doubt they will, because the tech community will be furious if they do, then there are other ways to move this armor stand, by the way. You don't need to, you know, shove a slime block into it, so you don't have to do that. But this is just a simple way of doing it, and that's what I use in this example. Okay, now I covered extensions in the last video, and I want to cover some more extensions up in this video, as well as some delay and how extensions can be used for delay. So, for example, moving or pulling extensions. So here's a nice one actually that I like, because it's like in a straight line, as you can see. So, you know, this piston pushes this forward. This observer pushes this slime block forward, which is attached to the sticky piston. The observer pulses, and the sticky piston pulls back. So this works as an extension. Now I'm gonna show some cool ways to add delay by using extensions. So if I have, say, something like this, I have an observer like here, and I have these pistons, and I have observers, or actually I can just have two, and I push this forward, it'll have to wait until this sticky piston gets pulsed. It pulls back this observer, which will quasi-power this sticky piston, which will pull back this observer, which will quasi-power this sticky piston, and it will pull back this segment. So that's a nice way of adding delay. So basically, the more of these you have, so if, you know, I added more of them, then, you know, the longer the delay is. So, as you can see. So that's a nice way of adding delay, and here's another way of actually, of adding delay if I have a sticky piston like this, and then a sticky piston like this, and I have an observer like this. This is also a nice way of adding delay, so instead of, say, just, you know, having this, is this enough? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, no, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, this is plenty. If I just have this, you'll notice that this one is going to extend a bit later because this sticky piston won't extend until this sticky piston extends and retracts and pulls this observer back, and which will power this sticky piston. So it has to wait for that extra amount of delay of this sticky piston extending and retracting and this observer pulsing for it to actually pull back. So as you can, 1 second. There we go. There we go. And if I move this forward, as you can see, you saw that this one moved after the other one that just uses the normal extension there. So cool ways of adding delay. I learned this one from Pingu, and I learned this one from seeing Adilax's brain circuitry for a project we're working on. So I don't know if either of those two actually invented these two methods of adding delay, but they're pretty nice, and pretty simple, so yeah, they're pretty good. Now, one more thing, and then I'm gonna move on to just creating a shit ton of instant extensions. One more thing. What I'm going to make here is like one of these extensions, right? But instead of only working in one direction, this will work in 2 directions. So I'm gonna demonstrate this by having a sticky piston pulling back this with a piston like this. Actually a sticky piston. And then an observer. And I also want to have an observer here to update this observer, like, to, like, double pulse it and stuff. So, just to have the right timings, you know. And this, what I have just created here, is a 2-way extension. So, I'm going to explain this the best I can. When this pushes forward, this redstone block will move forward, and this sticky piston won't be able to retract this because this redstone block is already moving into this position. So this observer, 2 blocks can't move into the same position at the same time, so this redstone block is going to move first. So this sticky piston is going to retract, but not pull this segment. This observer is going to update this observer, which is going to power this sticky piston, which will power this, and that's, yeah, pretty much what will happen. It will pull this back, so, as you can see there. And this observer being here to pulse to update this one a second time. So, if you didn't know, observers can detect other observers updating. So, when this moves, it'll update, and this one will update as well. But this one will update again because it detects that this observer is updating, and that's enough delay to get this sticky piston to extend and retract. So that's how this works. So this is a two-way extension, and you can tile this by doing this. And actually, yeah, you do need it. Yeah, I'll explain why I thought that in a second. Why I wondered that in a second. This is facing the wrong direction. Nice. Okay. So as you can see, this works as an instant extension, or not an instant extension. Actually, it can work as an instant extension if I do this. So it'll extend forward, and it won't be instant, but when I pull it, it will be instant. So that's a different way of doing this. If you want to use this as like one way, it's an instant extension, the other way it's not. I don't know why you would want that, but there you go. There's your option. But this is normally just like a two-way extension, not instant. And the cool thing about this thing is that you can attach like more extensions to this using this observer and attaching sticky pistons here. What it'll do is actually, because this observer updates this observer, so this sticky piston can't, this sticky piston won't update yet, and it has to wait for this observer to move forward and pulse it again so the sticky piston can retract. But while it's doing that, this observer moving forward updates this observer here, and it will cause this sticky piston to push its block forward. And while it's retracting, this observer pulses again and causes the sticky piston to pulse and pull back the sticky piston in the next segment as well. So that's what's happening there. As you can see, just before the segment moves forward, these sticky pistons spit out their blocks. So this is, you know, a really, really useful way of having a two-way extension if you want to, like, move, you know, stuff like this. So you can do that. It's a really, really useful circuit. And I believe there's a way to do this vertically as well. So if I have this, or no, I think I'm gonna have it like this. If you want to pull it from the bottom, you know, you gotta do it like this. So, same thing, it works the same way, you know. And you can also do the same thing with an extension here. Or not. You can't actually do that. Alright. Interesting. I would have thought that you could do that there, but no, you can't. Alright. So. But this one works vertically. So you can, you know, move this up and stuff. This'll work. Or not. Excuse me, what? This is a little weird. I don't like this. I don't like this. Did I build it wrong? I actually might have built it wrong. Or maybe, this is just meant to work like this. Give me a second. I haven't messed around with these too much. Yeah. So that works. So there you go. I'm not sure why this didn't work though. Oh, it does work. Okay, so I did build it wrong. Okay, thank God I'm not an idiot. I had one of those. I had one of those moments where I thought I was an idiot, but I just built it wrong, which I guess also makes me an idiot. But whatever. So there you go. It works vertically, and I'm pretty sure you can do the same thing going down. The video, I think, is getting pretty long, but I'm gonna keep going. Because I still have a lot to cover. The video is gonna be long. Holy shit. I actually might do the instant extensions for another day, because this took a lot more time than I expected. But yeah, anyways, you can also have it moving down. We're actually supposed to be on top. That also didn't work. What is with this and, like, not working? Oh, I see what's going on. This should be a little solution to that. No, that didn't work either. Okay. This time I am an idiot. You can figure that out on your own. You're smart enough. This video is already getting way too long. It's probably similar to this. But yeah, so two-way instant extensions. They're a little weird. But they're very useful, so. They're pretty good. Anyways, I'm not gonna bother trying to spend the time trying to figure that out. And I just want to get straight to making a bunch of instant extensions. So two-way extensions are done. So now, what I want to do is, so last video, we went over these things called instant extensions, and I think I only showed 2 designs. One worked at 6 game ticks, and one works at like 10. So this instant extension is pretty. This is the one of them that I showed. Yeah, this works as I explained in the previous video, so I'm not gonna really go over too much of the technical details of this. I'm just gonna build a bunch of designs and just show you what they are. So first of all is just an alternation of this design. If I do this, you can do something like this. So this is the same like efficiency. It's like this. It's the same. You can make it the same length as one I showed, the basic one that I showed. But this works. This also works the same way. So it also works as an instant extension. A one-way instant extension. Now, I showed you two-way instant wires. What about an instant extension? A two-way instant extension? Well, I can show you that because it exists. So, here's one. And I build the bottom first. So you create kind of like a shape like that. And to tile it, you you just do this, or I'm sorry, you actually no, you do this. Sorry, it's a little hard to remember. But so yeah, that's the bottom layer. Then the second layer, you have kind of like this X shape made of sticky pistons on top of the or slime blocks on top of the sticky pistons, regular pistons on top of the slime blocks, and then a redstone block in the middle, which will be connected by a row of slime on the top, like an S shape like that. And I'm gonna make that again. And how do I use it? Well, to move it one way, you have to pull it from one end, and as you can see, it is an instant extension. But now, if I want to move it this way, I can pull it from the other end. Yeah. As far as I know, I don't know of any instant extension that works two directions and can be moved both directions from one side. If I spent, like, hours working on it, I might be able to find a design. It might have been done before. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if XWire has made it before, but I'm not gonna worry about that now, because I don't know the design. But I did, you heard me mention, like, it doesn't, you know, movable from both sides in the same direction. Well, that one exists too. You can make an instant extension that you can, a one-way instant extension that you can activate from both ends. And this is what it looks like. So if I push this from one end, it will work. It'll push forward. If I push it from the other end, it'll still work. So this is pulling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you can have it like this. So this segment moves first. So this segment of, like, the slime and the glass and the redstone block moves first. If I push it from this end, that is. And then this will pull this segment around it. So the redstone block already started moving. Even though it's all happening in the same instant, in the same game tick, it's still important to recognize the actual update order. And, like, what's updating first, because that is important. Again, I'll go over update order in a future video. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that for now. Oh, I just remembered something that I actually wanted to cover. TNT dupers. These use update order, so I'm not gonna explain too much about the update order of TNT dupers, but TNT duplicators, basically just, they duplicate TNT. And so this one is a pretty basic TNT duper. When you push it forward, it dupes, and when you pull it back, it does not dupe. Now, there's other ways to make this. If you replace this fence gate with a cobblestone wall, it launches the TNT forward. As like a combination of this slime block and, you know, there being a cobblestone wall there. So that's one TNT duper. Now I'm going to make one that dupes in both directions. So it looks a little bit like this. If I have the wall here, detector rail, and the minecart and the TNT. So that what's happening is the minecart is, like, powering the TNT, but it's, like, butted because the TNT is not activated, but it's still being powered. So if you give the TNT an update, it will power. So the reason I can just place it like that is because I have carpet TNT do not update set to true. If it's set to false, then you can't just place TNT here. What you actually have to do is, first you have to just move the minecart on top of it with a piston like that. but I'm gonna set it to true just so I can just place a TNT like this. This one dupes in both directions, and if I remove this one, it will only dupe when pulled. And if I remove this one instead, now it'll only dupe when pushed. So that's something interesting about this one. You can just you can literally just control which directions it dupes in just by removing one or the other glass blocker, having both if you want it to dupe in both directions. Next TNT duper. This one is going to dupe when it is pulled back. So if I have the rail here and then a coral down here, and then a TNT. If I push it forward, it doesn't dupe, but if I pull it back, it does dupe. And actually, you can also have the coral next to the TNT like this, and it works the same way. Anyways, a few TNT duper designs. There's tons of them, but these are just a few off the top of my head. Anyways, back to instant extensions. I almost forgot to cover that. This is anyways, back to this thing. The instant extension you can activate from two ends. So if I push this, as you can see, it works from that end, and if I push it from this end, it still works. So this one's useful for like tunnel bores if you want to activate, like, if you want to activate the tunnel bore from both ends. This is one way to do it. Now all of these are like horizontal instant extensions. What about vertical ones? Can you make a vertical instant extension? The answer is yes, you can. So here's a basic one. You see this in World Leaders all the time. Let's just build 2 segments of it. And if I move this down, as you can see, it works. Now, if I try to test, like, and see how long I can make this, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks wide. So I'm just gonna build this again. Now, there is a way to make it wider if I use quasi-connectivity. If I have the redstone block up a block, it's still powering this piston, and you can work with this. And one way to do it is by doing this. Now you can't, well, you can use an observer actually if you quasi-power it like this. But I think a more clean way, in my opinion, is just using this. It's a bit more expensive, but it looks nicer. And you can make this one block wider, so it's a more efficient instant extension design. So if I move this down, as you can see, it works. And to demonstrate that it does work with an observer, I will show that as well. Now, it's kind of weird because you can't use an observer like this, otherwise this will not work. And that has something to do with update order again. I'm going to go over update order in a different video. Can you make an instant extension that moves upwards? Well, yes, you can. You can indeed do that. So again, I'm gonna make this, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And as you can see, if I move this up, it works. Actually, I can just place a piston up here. It'll get quasi-powered by the redstone block. So, that's another way of doing it. And I believe you can also just use an observer. That also works. And actually, you can use an observer like this, actually. So that's a more efficient way of doing it. So let's do that again. Oh shit, that didn't work. Okay. Ah, because it's too slow. Right. Okay, well, if you want to use this, then you have to use, have to use, redstone blocks, I think. I don't think you can use observers for this one. Alright. And that was my mistake. It didn't, I didn't connect it. There we go. So yeah, there you go. Instant extension that moves upwards. What about one of these, a two-way, or not a two-way, sorry, a one-way extension that you can push from both sides, but vertically, for one of these vertical ones? Well, I can make that. It's a bit less efficient though, but it will still work. So if I have a redstone block here, and I have something like this, actually, yeah, I want to do that. Yeah, something that looks like this, I think. And that works. And if I push it from both sides, that's another one that you can make. And so that one moves down. What about up? If I want to make one that moves up, I think I can get away with having it right next to it. Because even if I move it up, it'll quasi-power. But if I actually move this up, there's a period where the piston extends or retracts. So there is a window where I can push this forward. So if I do this and have it kind of like this, have a redstone block kind of like that to power the sticky piston, or regular piston, sorry. And if I push this up, yep, it works. So yeah, when you're using these, be wary of the push limit, because you know you can't make each section like that wide before you have to like create another one of these, because it's kind of a bulky thing and it reaches push limit pretty quickly. So yeah, what about an instant extension that is just a vertical thing? Well, that's pretty easy. If I just have something like this, I can make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then have another section. And just have like a thing there. You can also, I'm pretty sure you can also use observers for this one. If I just, you know, do that. Pretty sure that'll work. Oh, but if you do use observers, it's not as efficient, unfortunately. So I have to make it one block shorter. So yeah. If I'm just using redstone blocks to power the sticky piston, it's a bit more efficient, as you can see. And you can also do the same, moving upwards. So if I do the same thing, I can just have this. It's a bit cheaper, actually. If I just have the piston, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and just have the next one. And I'm pretty sure you can't use observers for this one, because this redstone block will just move to a piston where it's gonna quasi-power the sticky piston. It's gonna extend again if you don't push it with the piston with the redstone block. So yeah, so be wary about that. But yeah, if I do that, I have to like actually move it. So if you wanted to move this with a piston, you'd have to move it with a piston. There you go. So that's another one. What if you want it a horizontal one. Well, you can do that as well. If I have it kind of like this, then I can just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then have another one. And there you go. So those are a bunch of instant wires that you can add to your arsenal. So now you know a bunch of these designs. My voice is getting really tired. So I'm gonna cut it here, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll think of what I'm gonna do for the next video. I think I'm gonna wait until doing update order, until like at least episode 4. I think I'm gonna do something else next time. And at some point I'm gonna start introducing little challenges once I think that you guys have enough knowledge to actually make something out of it. Anyways, that's about it for this video.